a side. Now you got a team and you're rolling with the pride. Wanna play the game, make it to the end. I wanna bring it back again. I feel it inside. I'm reaching my stride. I'm standing my ground. I won't give in. I'm moving ahead. I'm back from the dead. I'm ready to fight again. Raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof. I'm raising the roof. All the mistakes I made, now I can change my fate. No one can take this heart away. First, you gotta pick a side. Now you got a team and you're rolling with the pride. Wanna play the game and make it to the end. I wanna bring it back again. I feel it inside. I'm reaching my stride. I'm standing my ground. I won't give in. I'm moving ahead. I'm back from the dead. I'm ready to fight again. Raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof. I'm raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof. I'm raising the roof. Find another way to fight another day. Find another way. Find another way to fight another day. Find another way to fight another day. Find another way. Find another way to fight another day. I feel it inside. I'm reaching my stride. I'm standing my ground. I won't give in. I'm moving ahead. I'm back from the dead. I'm ready to fight again. Raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof. I'm raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof. I'm raising the roof.
We take another step in our journey across the world, and the iR-04's versatility remains unchallenged as we take to one of the UK's toughest circuits. It's tight, twisty, and unforgiving. Alton Park will take no prisoners, and even the most marginal mistake could prove detrimental to even the best. Precision, patience, and consistency will win out today in the 9th round of the iR-04 Challenge Series. Action and excitement is expected around every corner, so to talk you through all the action tonight will be myself, Zach Sweeney, and Cameron Roger, alongside with Zach Johnson behind the scenes. And well, Cam, it seems like it's the new week and same expectations.
Certainly is. This car is crazy around loads of tracks, and this one is not going to be any different, as we're already seeing spinners here coming through the way as well in the qualifying session. So yeah, plenty of action to be expected around here, especially without the Britain's chicane on the back straight. Loads of overtaking opportunities around this tight and twisty track.
Absolutely. It's well, it's not something you would often expect to be one with an abundance of overtaking opportunities, but of course, as you say, we do skip the Britain chicane, so it's that long straight pretty much from Shell Oils all the way down to Hislops, and that is a very, very long straight indeed. You're spent flat out pretty much. It's just a long straight, and of course that slipstream is going to help, but Hislops is a very tight and twisty chicane as well, so it's quite difficult to just nip your nose alongside, because again, the margin for error is very, very slim.
It certainly is, and we've been speaking with a couple of drivers, and apparently track limits are quite tighter around here as well, which makes that track even more narrow. And there's certain corners where you want to be, pushing the limits here. There's some big exit curbs, as you're going to see through turn 1 here at Old Hall Corner as well. But you can't go too wide, because especially in this qualifying session, if you get your track cuts and get your laps invalidated, then you're going to be starting from the back. And as much as it's going to be chaos, it's going to be very difficult to overtake around here.
Absolutely, and it is just going to be a very, very tough challenge indeed. So just getting a lap time in of itself could actually see you qualify quite well, as we see the first lap time is being posted. It's happening at the moment. Provisionally pole position of 1:29.6. Quite clear though, a barrel over the 1:30.3. And again, it is just trying to hook that lap up, because again, you don't get quite an abundance of them. You only get 2 opportunities to do so, and if you mess up on both occasions, whether that just be slightly running a little bit wide, that is it. It doesn't matter how quick you are right at the back of the field. And well, to be fair, it's not actually the worst place to be starting. You know things are going to happen. You know there's going to be chaos and carnage and battles up and down the field. So in fact, starting at the back might not be too detrimental, because you just can do your own race, focus, stay out of trouble, and actually pick your way through the field quite nicely.
Yeah, you can, but you got to be smart when you're doing that. You can just see, especially here coming through the final few corners at Druids and into Lodge Corner, it's just so narrow here. You've got to be really decisive in your moves, and if the car ahead of you doesn't see you coming, then there's always opportunities for an accident. So you've got to be very careful indeed. As Prieto here comes around the final corner in the number 1 machine. Where is he going to put himself, though? 29.8. That's going to be up into second place at this moment in time.
Decent lap from the number 1 machine of Prieto there, and certainly in just a couple of turns behind Tapanonen. So again, got a couple of opportunities to get those laps in, and we'll go again and try and improve. And these cars do lend themselves to be a lot better on that second run once the tyres are warmed up, because there's quite a few sketchy corners. As we were saying, the margin of error is very small. You lock up even the slightest bit, you get onto the grass, you become a passenger, especially through Island Corner and into Shell Oils. You lock up and you are just going straight. I was talking to Lewis McGlade, who is on the grid tonight. He said, yeah, if you get that wrong on some cold tyres, you are going straight, and that is your qualifying or your race session over. So maybe a lot of just drivers taking a nice little layer of caution and just trying to take it easy in qualifying.
Yeah, maybe just sacrificing a couple of tenths to get a consistent lap overall might be the way to go, especially with there being over a second from first to 10th at this moment in time. We're just on board with Velin there, but we're also seeing Schmidt come across the line there in 11th place as well. Back to Velin though, as he comes through Island Bend into Shell Oils, and he was obviously one of the front runners in the last race as well, being right at the front, getting inside all of the action, and let's see what he can do today at Alton Park.
Absolutely. Took pole last time out at Hockenheim, the Nürburgring. I do apologise. He did a great job. Unfortunately, did fall a little bit further back into I think on the fringes of the top 5. So didn't quite be able to convert his pole to a win, but certainly did show skimmers of that pace. But as we were talking just before the broadcast about, Alton Park is one of the tracks that you begin your iRacing journey with. It's a free track. It's not one that you have to buy. So it's a lot more accessible to a lot more drivers, which means today's strength of field could actually be one of the highest we're going to see all the season.
Yeah, certainly could. There's definitely some names that we haven't seen in the last few weeks, and of course it's more of a, an open championship rather than a fixed championship standing series as such. So therefore drivers can come in and out, and it's good to see that we get some different drivers come along the way as we see Vela now go up in second place there. That is going to be a nice time from him, but still about a 10th off Tapanen for that pole position, so he needs to find a little bit more. But of course drivers just trying to get themselves up to speed, and the race of course is where it's most important.
Absolutely, 20-minute showdown, and that is where it all matters. It's good to set a good time in qualifying, not absolutely crucial, because again, this track does lend itself well to overtaking. There will be chaos, there will be carnage, and that you can try and capitalize off. You just have to make sure you're the ones that are capitalizing and not the ones that are being dragged down with it. This is Jim Hertois, who again is one of those you would expect to be a front runner in this series. At the moment is P5, 1:30.295, and he is only about a 10th off Delgado in P4, and again only a few tenths off Prieto for the P3 position. Can he get himself up there? Moments left in qualifying. Is he even going to be able to finish this lap? It could be very close indeed. Of course, with iRacing, as soon as that timer ticks 0, that is the end of the session. Tough luck. It doesn't matter. You are not able to finish your lap, and that is it. That is how they rack up after qualifying. And well, if you haven't got a lap in, then tough luck.
Indeed, you've got to be quick, and only 2 attempts as well, and it's going to be a fast and frantic race. We've got all sorts of drivers up and down the field, loads of different iRatings as well, spreading from over 6k for Prieto as well, but going all the way down to sort of 2 and a bit for some other people. So it's going to be crazy, it's going to be carnage, and here's the grid.
It was Tuukka Tappinen that took pole position. He'll be joined by VT Velin on the front row with Piretto and Delgado 3 and 4. Jim Hertrois and Kuboc will round up next with 5th and 6th. Alfie Bradick and Kevin Burrell will make up the 4th row of the grid with Reitveld and Sigmund close behind, rounding off the top 10. Lewis McGlade just on the fringes there in P11 with Kevin DePaul alongside. He'll be to his right-hand side. Dominic Schmidt and Callum Voisin 13th and 14th with Formula 3 driver Zach O'Sullivan P15. Sam Nopjes will round off the 8th row of the grid, and next to him with JB Massadeh in P17. Kian Gerety in P18 with Nico Ludwig, Sakowicz and Jack Bennett P21. They are the ones that managed to set the time in qualifying. There should be a couple more that weren't able to do so purely because of the fact that it is so difficult to get that lap done in qualifying.
Yeah, it certainly is, but this is what it comes down to. The race that we're expecting to be around 14 laps or so, but we'll see how that one goes. And of course, the run down towards turn 1, Old Hall Corner is going to be so important, but then also when we get up towards the back straight into Hislops, it's going to be very tight and twisty.
Absolutely cannot wait to get this race underway. It's happening on pole. Velin alongside. Can he get the run? It's going to be that dash off the line down towards Old Hall, and again to get that inside line is going to be very crucial indeed. But this track does lend itself to overtaking, as we have said time and time again. The slipstream is going to be ever important, so you have to be there. You have to be willing to seize the opportunities and to play the long game. It's only 20 minutes, but that long game is something you are going to have to play off in your mind and just wait and set yourself up as best as you possibly can for the latter stages of this race. We are moments away now to get ourselves underway for round 9 of the iR-04 Challenge Series here at Oulton Park. Tapping on pole, Velin alongside. The cars will be revving themselves up. The adrenaline will be pumping, and we are go here at Oulton Park. A shaky start for the number 9 machine of Velin. He's going to be jumped by at least 3 cars down in towards turn 1. You can see Pietro and Delgado going side by side. A clean start then for Tappinen. Pietro on the outside as they run down in towards this downhill section through the cascade. Tappinen leads from Pietro, Delgado, Velin and Hertrois side by side. The number 3 trying to get his way to the inside of Cascades. It's going to be very tricky for the number 9 to hold his way all the way around the outside. He just about managed to do that and stays in the slipstream of Delgado in front, but it's a shaky start once more for the number 9.
Certainly is, but that position there coming through Island Bend is going to be important because you want to be keeping track position around here, and in the background we were side by side coming through Island Bend as well, so loads of drivers as we see Callum Boys in there starting near the back down in 14th place, but already out into this 11th, but no chicane here. We're going all the way down the back straight.
Here we go, Callum Boys and get himself past Kevin DePaul, who's just in front of him down in towards Hislops. He's going to try and find the gap. Is the number 5 machine currently on the fringes of the top 10. Oh, big crash there. Who's that involved? That's Lewis McGlade and I think Reitveld as well, who was just trying to avoid some carnage. That is such a big shame. So easily can happen. And we expected that down in towards the downhill braking zone of Hislops. Very tight corner, very fast going into there. And well, that is just the carnage and chaos that we've come to expect.
Yeah, that's quite early on, so I wonder if a few drivers are just backing out of it and just slowing down a little bit earlier than the ones behind. And of course, when you're 15 cars deep, you can't see what cars ahead of you are doing and what is going on, and maybe just a little bit earlier. But yes, some drivers already in the pits. O'Sullivan, Gerety getting a tow back to the pit lane, and Sakowicz and Schmidt were involved in that one as well. So a bit of carnage already on this first lap, and we're just going to see how that one continues, because I wouldn't be surprised if we see a repeat of it.
No, chances are it probably will happen. We're going to take another look at it and just see what can happen. Just look at the gaggle of cars heading their way in. The number 12 getting it on the grass, just drifting its way across, jumping over and bang into the barrier, and that is it's just so easy. It was that snap thing. The tiniest of mistakes can then lead to the biggest of consequences, and that is such a shame for those drivers that were involved. But again, lap 1, it's what we come to expect. Luckily for Callum Voisin, he just managed to get his way ahead of it, because any one of those cars in front could have easily been collected in that.
Yeah, that blue car, number 6, was actually Zach O'Sullivan trying to go all the way to the right-hand side. Obviously, cars slowing down a bit earlier than he would have wanted, and he's there, got towed back to the pit lane. We'll see if he comes back out to finish the race alongside Gerety as well, who's also in that pit lane. Loads of cars here going over, but you actually see there's some tyre barriers on the inside apex, and that hasn't gone well for number 17, Kevin DePaul. He's had to go over the Hislop chicane and has lost quite a few places because of that.
Absolutely. Again, we are always going to talk about the margin of error here at Oulton Park. Hasn't changed much since 1954, so won't have the abundance of safety runoff and tarmac runoffs and things like that that we see at more modern circuits. So it is just track and grass and then barrier. So you've got to be careful, you've got to be on your toes, and you have to be precise with your driving inputs. We see this fight for the race lead. Tapping leads from Prieto, Delgado, Velen and her choice, who are running quite well, actually, inside the top 5. You can see Kuboc there trying to get himself inside the top 5 and will do so down in towards turn 1. In fact, still going to run side by side are the two cars, and we focus our attention to Prieto and Delgado, who are very, very close and locked in a fight, trying to stay within the slipstream range of the leader of Tappinen. And again, it's easier said than done because of that lap time that Tappinen set, and the start that he got was so crucial, as those that battled behind him lost that crucial bit of time to put a bit of pressure on lap 1.
Certainly, indeed, as we've seen the cars now for 5th and 6th getting very close, and this is causing a bit of a train forming behind them with a gap of over 2 seconds now between Velen and Kuboc there in 5th place. So her choice needs to be getting the run as we come towards Hislop's once again down the back straight. This is where the main overtaking opportunity is going to be such a long straight where we don't have the Britain chicane, and now going slightly towards the outside is her choice, but that is just a nice bit of defending there by the number 14 on the inside. Can't make an overtake, and this is obviously the art of Oulton Park, is that you need to find a way past. There's in the background, Callum Voisin on the inside, contact though, and Sigmund's off as well.
Callum Voisin trying to find his way through the pack, as was stuck in a like a 5-car train, and tried to go for the move, and unfortunately it has ended very, very badly for him. Trying to recover is both the 5 and the 19 of Sigmund and Voisin, but well, that is not going to work. That car is hanging on, and he's still trying to go, but I don't think that car is going to be very drivable. Of course, they do get a fast repair, but with 15 minutes left to go, if you have to drive that car back to the pit lane, fast repair it, come out and then finish the race, you're not going to be finishing particularly very well. This is the fight up a little bit further up, with Velen trying to get himself onto the podium. Indeed does so, as Delgado has to concede that place down in towards Cascade. Tapping leads Prieto, Velen, your top 3. Can he eye up the move for Prieto as well? As you can see now, Tappinen having to get the first of the lap traffic. Unfortunately for him, will get that done into Island Bend and will comfortably lead. But again, with the amount of cars going off and carnage and things like that happening, lap traffic will play a factor and could in fact actually influence the results of this race.
It certainly might do, because even though it's a couple of tenths here and there, that could be all important. Of course, it's just a bit distracting as well, but that is part of it. It's Callum Voisin now into the pit lane, as you would expect. And let's see a replay now of how this one works. You're going to see Voisin there dive up the inside into Knickerbrook, and that is just such a bit of a tight corner. Goes a little bit wide. The car on the outside there was actually giving him some space, but obviously just not enough for that one to work out nicely. I think it was Voisin just being a tiny bit too opportunistic there on the apex, just coming a bit too wide.
Yeah, just drifted a little bit too far wide. Sigmund did give him quite a wide berth, and in all fairness, actually gave him enough space, but unfortunately Callum Voisin just drifted, and that slight bit of contact. You can see now Velen looking to the inside of Prieto to get himself back inside the top 2, and there goes Prieto into the grass, managing to keep it pointing straight, but he's going to lose a lot of time to the front 3. Delgado re-inherits P3. Velen trying to make amends for a poor start, got himself into 2nd place. Bit of argy-bargy. Prieto on the outside of Lodge. It's always going to be sketchy, but did he deserve some space?
Probably did with how it was going, and he's not going to be overly happy with the time loss, because not only is he now out of the fight for the podium, but now he's got all these cars behind him in that gag rule for 5th place as well. He needs to try and hold on away from them, as a little bit further up the road we're getting Sigmund out of the way of the leaders as well. So as you say, lap traffic definitely coming into it, because it seems a pit stop time is roughly a full lap around here, going back and getting involved with the leaders, as the number 12 there is a lapped car, so don't worry about that. The number 9, this black Red Bull livery car, is Velen, as he comes up this back straight now through the Britain's chicane and all the way down towards Hislop. So he's going to be getting nicely there up into that 2nd place to now chase down Tappinen.
Clear air between himself and the race leader. Velen has definitely got a lot of really good pace in his car, but unfortunately hasn't been able to extract it so far. That lap car, the number 12 of Kian Garrity, just moving out of the way of everyone else and trying not to put up too much of a fight for those in pursuit of the race lead and for the podium. Though it is going to be a tough ask for Vetti Velen in his pursuit for the race lead, because 1.6 seconds to a man that managed to pip him in qualifying by about a tenth or 2 is going to be a very tough ask. He's got to be consistent, and he's got to capitalise off any mistake that Tappinen can make. But 12 minutes left to go. We're not even halfway through. A lot has happened in this race, and I'm sure a lot is still to come.
Yeah, it certainly is. But always, again, cars there off wide out of the exit of Lodge Corner, the final corner on the track. And that is certainly not what you want to do. That's Bradick there going a little bit too wide. And there is Birrell up into that place ahead of him. But also Nopius, I should say, up into place ahead of him. But the difficult part around here is that sometimes you have to be a little bit opportunistic, but because it's so tight, you sort of have a bit of hesitation, but you can't hesitate, because if you do and you go for a space that is not really there or is closing, you're going to end up in a big crash.
Yeah, for sure. It's again, you've got to be committed. If you're going to go for a move, commit to it. If you're going to send a move, commit to it. Because as soon as you start to doubt yourself and you start to go, oh, do I go for it? Look, brake late, and then back out, and then yeah, before you know it, you're into the side of the car in front, and that is something that you do not want to be doing at all. So yeah, just be confident in yourself. Don't doubt yourself, and send the move, or just be patient and wait for a prime opportune moment, as opposed to just going for those sort of half-hearted 50-50 moves that you're not quite sure will work out. So again, that is another one of these challenges at Oulton Park. Is while it does lend itself well to overtaking, you've got to be careful with it and when you do it, because if you do it in the wrong place, it can end up very, very bad indeed. This is Prieto, a car that was fighting for the race leader, certainly for the podium, going through now through Druids. He has got Kuboc and Hertrois right on his tail, and maybe not confidence wise, maybe got a bit of car damage on that car, but yeah, he's certainly got a task to keep the 14 and the 3 behind.
Yeah, he certainly does. It's not going the way that he would have wanted, being obviously the highest rated driver coming into this, but that is nothing with how chaotic these races have been so far in this iR-04 challenge over the course of the last couple of seasons that we've been following it. And let's see how this one progresses, because they're still all together in that battle, which is now battle from 4th all the way down really to about 7th place. And that's 4 drivers who all want to get ahead of each other, and realistically they're not too far behind the cars ahead, but if they start battling, they're just going to lose even more time.
It's just that tricky compromise of how hard you want to fight for this position. Do you want to work together to try and get it a little bit more? Because again, as a driver, you know, if you've been doing multiple races this week around Oulton Park, you'll know how chaotic it can be, the crashes that can ensue, the mistakes that can happen, and you again will want to make the most of those. But at the same time, that's not a guarantee, and you want to secure the best position that you possibly can. So trying to sit second fiddle to someone else on the off chance that something happens in front and you can gain one place, it might not be a risk that some drivers are willing to take, so they're going to want to try and maximize every opportunity they can get early on. But yeah, it's only 2.5 seconds between Prieto and Delgado, and again, Velen and Delgado are very, very close indeed, so that battle could spice up as we see Hertrois maybe eyeing up the movement towards Drew. It's not really a corner that you can send one to the inside, but you can certainly see the desperation and the hunger for more on those cars.
Yeah, one thing is really just getting in the mirrors and trying to force driver into a mistake there. Kuboc getting a little bit too narrow actually into Lodge Corner, just showing maybe him being ever so slightly defensive, and even then just a little bit to the right coming towards Old Hall as well. So certainly possibly looking in his mirrors, and that's a big chunk of her curb that he's taken out of the first corner and down coming towards Cascades. That's going to be a very interesting place for Hertois to try and get a bit of a run, but of course it's so difficult. But it looks like he might just be getting the slipstream up the hill.
It could be a very, very good opportunity for him indeed. He had a very good run off the exit of Cascades, is in the slipstream towards Island Bend, just trying to find a gap to fill, and you can see Kuboc just parking that car perfectly. There is a braking zone in towards Shell Oils, not quite close enough though, and you are turning left as you brake for a right-hander, so it is very, very sketchy indeed. But the all-in crucial bit is that exit of Shell Oils, because this run down towards Hislops is very, very long. You can utilize that slipstream to full effect. You can see Kuboc knows that he's going to pull to the right-hand side. The number 3 machine of Hertrois is going to go to the left. It's going to be the long way round. We've seen a bit of crash a little bit earlier on towards this corner, and both of them decide to back out and not go for that move. But in doing so, running side by side, even for that little bit, has brought Briol right back into this fight. So yeah, well, this is a very long train indeed, from 4th all the way down to 7th, and Nopjes isn't too far off either. So more battling could see this train grow and grow.
Yeah, Kuboc has had a very good defensive line there into Hislops, and a bit surprised that he's been able to hold on to that so nicely coming towards that chicane sequence, because we've seen a few drivers try and get a bit of a run, but it seems he's just doing enough out of Shellows to get the run all the way down over the hilltop as well. So certainly something that he's probably practiced over the course of the other races during the week. As we come back to 2nd place, and Tappanen has just pulled away from this battle, which is now a battle for the final couple of places on the podium, with Delgado and Velen here in this 2nd place. And Velen seems to be doing just enough to actually hold on and just keep Delgado, just slightly out of the range of making an overtake.
Keeping him at arm's length and just trying to again, just try and maximize, the places that he needs to. You don't need to be quick everywhere. You just need to be quick in certain points on the track. Crucially, the exit of Shell Oils, because that sets you up so well and can lead you to be well defended down in towards his lops. And that's something that Velen is going to try and play into, because at this point, he probably knows that the win is out of his hands unless something drastic happens to Tappinen out in front. He's absolutely running away with it. A little bit of a move, a little bit further back, I think, side by side, her choice, and Kuboc once more side by side and towards his lops. It's still the 14 on the inside, and once more it is the number 3 of her choice that is going to back out of that move. But yeah, Velen is doing a great job at keeping Delgado behind, playing to his strengths, and just keeping Delgado a nice distance away. That he's close, he's putting some pressure on, but again, he knows realistically there's nowhere for him to realistically make a move.
Yes, it's quite crazy actually, has been able to hold on with that. That was not the best exit, going defensive into Lodge Corner, the final corner of the track. And now we're seeing her choice trying to get closer, but once again can't, or hasn't really made a dive. He's put his car in a nice place, but hasn't done anything overly aggressive to try and change the pattern of what we've been seeing. And it's one of those things, you get used to the cars behind you, and that just makes it a little bit easier because you get more confidence knowing that you can hold on to a certain position. And Kuboc is certainly in that part of the race now, but Hoto once again getting so close, enough for the slipstream, but is it enough coming into the braking zone at Shell Oils?
I don't think so, unless you're going to be very, very brave indeed and try something different, as you were saying. No, the answer to that question, and well, he has to stay behind once more, but he has to get a move on, because Birrell is going to try and get his way to the inside or try and fabricate a move as well. But that is an interesting point that you bring up, because as a driver, you certainly do analyze your opponent. You know where and when they will go for a move, where they're strong, where they're not so strong, and then you can use that to try and defend or attack. And yeah, I think Hotois is just trying the same thing lap after lap after lap, and it's not working for him. And yeah, that just, they always say, if you do the same thing time after time again and expect a different result, then you're doing the wrong thing. He just needs to find something different, send his nose in a little bit deep here, or try and put some pressure on a different point of the circuit, or, try and get to the inside of his lops as opposed to go to the outside or something like that, just to knock the rhythm of Kuboc a little bit. But again, they are closing into Prieto, so it might start to be that thing that he might just settle in behind Kuboc, wait for that move to fabricate between Kuboc and Prieto, and then capitalize off that.
Yeah, he's certainly it's a bit of a difficult situation really that he's been in, because he's been there for so long. As we've been saying, they've just sort of got comfortable in that. As I say, he's going to need to try and do something a little bit different, but where's that going to be around this part of the track? Just maybe doing absolute perfect lines, and that's even closer now as we've got the number 4 off there. That is Delgado. He's gone off, but also in the foreground we've got the number 3 getting a bit of a closer run towards Island Bend, but Delgado's not enjoying that, all the way from 3rd place.
Yeah, it is a tragic mistake for him, but it does bring alleviate a lot of the pressure of Vetti Velen in 2nd place. He's now got a much comfortable run, but you can see that Kuboc has gone a little bit deep off the exit of Shell Oils. Now it's going to invite her choice to the right-hand side. It'll give him the inside for his lops. He is in fact ahead. Now Kuboc has to tuck in behind and try and maximize the slipstream down the hill in towards the braking zone. Can he get this place back, or is he going to have to sit behind? The answer to that is he's going to have to sit behind, but in goes deep. Does the number 3. That could allow Kuboc in towards Nickelbrock to get the move done. Not quite able to get his way up the inside, but now the pressure is piling on. Kuboc seemed comfortable. That small mistake allowed her choice through, and well, that's cost him P4.
Yeah, I wonder if that car of Delgado going off just put a little bit in the back of the mind of Kuboc about keeping it on the track, and of course making that tiny mistake, and that's all it is. And that's why you have to keep on putting on the pressure, because the drivers in front of you, that you might be saying they get a little bit more comfortable, but also this pressure. Oh, there's a car around, the Coca-Cola livery car all the way over. We saw him having a few issues earlier. That is Garrity, who went for a spin at the final corner, and unfortunately he's going to drop a bit further back. So his day going from bad to worse as he drops to the back of all of the cars who have still remained in the race.
Yeah, good friends with Callum Voisin is Kian Geraghty, and both of them haven't had the best of races, it must be said. We, looking at Lewis McGlade and his experiences over the course of this week so far, and both of them have showed great promise in terms of their pace. But yeah, well, unfortunately for them, the one race that are on broadcast isn't the race they've had that luck, which is unfortunate. But again, it's racing, things happen, you have to shrug it off and keep moving. Deep goes her choice on going in towards Shell Oils. That is going to allow Kuboc to close the gap and use that slipstream. Is he close enough though? because we saw Troyes be this close and not be able to get the move done. Is Keboch a little bit more fiery though? Is he a bit more spicy down in towards his laps? You can see the number 3 machine having to go defensive, has the 14 Keboch, got the legs to break late and go around the outside, going in towards his laps. He's going to try a bit of contact to the rear left for Troyes, and yeah, that's enough to discourage the move and force Keboch to concede.
And that has meant that we just got this massive train of cars behind these guys. Birol, Nops and Delgado, and even Bradick on the back of that as well, all coming for this final position towards the top 5. And it's really just starting to heat up, because they know any little mistake and they're going to be losing a couple of positions, and that's so important when we're coming already onto the final 2 laps of the race. And that is certainly going to be one where they need to work out just about where they're going to try and finish and see what the potential is. But now coming towards Old Hall Corner once again, the number 2 there, Birol, trying to think about it, trying to look, but he's really being pushed along as we now come down to Cascades.
He's eyeing up that move. You could see he tried to look for the gap to the inside through Old Hall. Didn't quite work from now. They're bumper to bumper to bumper. It's Keboch and Birol and Nopjes who sends one to the inside of Cascades. What a move that was from the number 7 to send himself into P6. Now he's eyeing up the move for Keboch as well to get himself inside the top 5. The number 4 of Delgado trying to make amends to the inside of Island Ben. It's going to be very tricky. The number 14 gives him a wide berth. He's going to look to the right-hand side. Sends in deep. Goes Delgado. Nearly a bit of contact onto the rear end of Nopjes. He gets himself up into P7. Birol has been completely and utterly mugged off there, it must be said. Now Nopjes on the back of Keboch down and towards his laps. Can he get this move done? But yeah, it's been the lap of sends for a lot of drivers today.
It certainly has, and side by side, 2 deep coming towards Hislop's once again. Who's going to come on top of these 2 battles? It's going to be Keboch there on Nopjes, but also Delgado trying to keep that position from Birol. And as you say, Birol really just not enjoying this lap, losing those couple of positions, but that's because they know the timer is ticking down and the laps remaining is certainly getting towards the end. So let's see how this one, shapes up, because these could swap over once again as we're coming on to start the final lap of the race.
And Tappinen has been just dominant, it must be said. It's not often that we see such a dominant win. We've seen a couple. Of course, Dion Santos back at Brands Hatch took that win quite dominantly. But yeah, we oftentimes see quite close fights for the race win. But Tappinen, he led from lap 1 and hasn't looked back at all. Velen as well has been sort of in his own little no man's land in second place. But yeah, it's been an astonishing drive. He's only got 1 more lap to negotiate. But we do have to turn our attention to this fight for 5th place, even 4th place as well, as Troyes is still in the mix. They're going to fight it all the way to the end. They know their opportunities are running thin. They've got a couple more in the tank, and they've just got to try and see if they can use each and every single one of them to catapult themselves a little bit further up. You can see Nopjes is certainly looking a little bit hungry for a couple more places. Defensive goes Keboch in towards Shell Oils, manages to park that car very, very well indeed. Now Nopjes on the back gets the over and under, trying to get that run down in towards Hislop's. It'll give him the right-hand side. It'll give him the inside, the dominant line down in towards Hislop's chicane, and he's got his nose ahead and surely will get that place. Delgado as well was running up in P3, fell after a bit of a spin, now trying to make amends for it to the inside. Is he going to be able to follow him through? Not quite, as Keboch just able to hang his way around the outside.
He certainly has, and these guys know that the final lap is coming. The final braking zone is coming up towards Lodge Corner as well. So let's see who does a cheeky send. Delgado's looking very spicy. He's coming up to Druids up the inside there. That's a very tricky corner, but he's trying to get his front nose down the inside, but he has to back out of that one.
He has indeed. I think Tappinen is now rounding his way to the checkered flag through Lodge Corner for the final time. It's been a dominant display here for round 9 of the iR-04 Challenge Series. Here comes Tuukka Tappinen across the line, takes victory at Oldham Park. He'll be joined by Vetti Velen 4.1 seconds later to take P2. And this fight for P5 has been absolutely astonishing. Troyes will get P4, followed by Keboch and Nopjes, who were side by side on the run as well. Nopjes will get P5 with Keboch P6, Delgado 7th, Birol P8. Alfie Bradick will come home a few seconds later, P9, and Massada rounding off the top 10. What a race that was amongst the midfield. Wasn't quite the fight for the race lead we would have hoped for, but while they certainly did deliver with action in the midfield.
Oh, they certainly did, and that is what we come to see. And even around the tighter, twistier tracks that we come to, this car still seems to work out pretty well, and we can get some nice fights. And it's just so difficult to keep that momentum going for all these corners. You see a driver here and there just chunk a curb too much, or just miss a braking zone slightly. And when it's so close between all these drivers, it's so competitive, you just start losing places. But yeah, Tappinen, just not really challenged at the front and just having a really nice race.
It all started from the start. He got away cleanly, wasn't contested, and didn't look back at all. He was able to take the win ahead of Viti Velen in P2, with Victor Prieto rounding off the podium places. Jim Hatrois and Sem Nopiez 4 and 5, with Kaboch P6, Delgado 7th, and Birol in P8. Alfie Bradick and JB Masida round off the top 10, with a fast lap of 1:29.442 by Tapunen. No surprise there. Kevin DePauw and Lewis McGlade P11 and P12, with Ludwig and Dominic Schmidt 13th and 14th. Jerry Reichfeld rounds off the top 15, with Sakowicz P16. Kian Garrity P17, Callum Voisin 18th, Zach O'Sullivan 19th, Lucas Sigmund P20, and the lone P21 was Jack Bennett, who I don't actually think took to the start. A lot of DNFs, which was to be expected here at Alton Park. Yeah, it was a chaotic race, and well, Alton Park, as we said at the start, it doesn't at all give out mercy.
It doesn't. It comes to bite you, and it's always good. As you say, it's a track that hasn't really changed in about 70 years, so it's good to see these old school tracks continuing on and not being overly modernized, and still able to have some of the the faster cars of the modern age still come to it. So yeah, great race, and let's look forward to another one next week.
Absolutely, cannot wait. We are towards the last stages of this season, but it has delivered on all fronts. The standard is always set high. We can go to any track, as we say, week in, week out. This car will deliver, and today it proved it once more. It has been an absolute pleasure. On behalf of myself, Zach Sweeney, and Cameron Roger, we thank you for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. Join us next week in a week's time, 9:15 p.m. BST. We'll see you then. It's, hopefully for yet another fantastic bit of action. We've had Zach Johnson on the production feed, giving us the cameras and, showing every bit of action possible across that race, because there was quite a lot to go through. But until we see you next time, guys, in a week's time, as I say, take care. Bye-bye.